Sacred Harmony, the space where soul meets truth. Today's guest is the luminous Nikki Allen, writer, spiritualist, and fierce truth teller behind the novel Loved You, Hated You. We are diving deep into the truth not often spoken. What happens when your self love threatens the very people who once fed on your silence? Get ready for a heart opening conversation on reclamation, resistance, and radical softness. Welcome to the show, Nikki. It's an honor to have you.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be here.
Mhm. So, Nikki, your story beautifully captures the tension between self love and the systems that benefit from a self abandonment. What was your personal breaking point that began your journey back to yourself?
Honestly, it is kind of twofold. I was in an abusive relationship, and I would go and tell my best friend, all the things that were happening throughout the relationship, and she'd give me all this great advice. And then finally one day I said something to her about what was happening, and she looked at me and she said, "I'm not going to give you any more advice because you want to stay. Until you want to leave, we don't need to have any more discussions about him." And at that moment, I realized I need to do a deep dive into me. Why am I not loving myself more than I'm loving this guy? And that at that point was the turning point and really doing a deep self dive as to why I was allowing myself to continually be in an abusive relationship.
Mm-hmm. Right. And did you lose people you loved in the process? And how did you make peace with that?
Um, you have if it and it depends on your maturity level, right? I was 20 something at the time. So it was very hard because I felt like this is supposed to be my best friend. You're supposed to walk through this fire with me. So at that time, it was really hard. It was a struggle. I think we did probably have some tension in our relationship for a while. But at this stage in the game, some years later, if someone distance themselves from me, I would really just take a look at me and put myself in their shoes and go, you know what, they probably did the right thing because I'm not listening to any solutions. I'm just venting and not wanting to solve the problem. So I think maturity comes into play. Um, and of course, how much do you really value yourself at that point? And this is not a bashing situation, but we get so we're so not okay with ourselves that we allow things to happen. So it really depends on where you are in your life and your maturity level.
Mm-hmm. And that moment of choosing self over pleasing others is often both a rebirth and a grief.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. You anytime we're changing though in life, no matter what it is, when we start to change, you go through a grieving process because you're so used to operating on one level. So there's always some form of grief when you are making a change.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And you talk about dangerous self love. Why does reclaiming your power threaten those around you? And how can someone navigate that backlash with grace?
Oh, that's a loaded and very hard question because and I deal with this even now. Choosing yourself, um, it it's a threat to people sometimes. And and you really just I've just gotten to the point where I have to live my truth and not worry about what other people think about me. As long as I'm happy, I'm healthy, and I'm not harming anyone, happy, healthy, and not harming the H's, um, then I have to move that way gracefully. You don't have to be rude, but choosing yourself, man, when you fall in love with yourself, trust me, the people that aren't on your vibration, they fall off anyway. They really do. So it clears itself out at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. And how do we know the difference between a relationship worth repairing and one that needs release?
Oh, that's a very good question. But I think we typically know, we have that inner spidey sense, if you will, of yeah, this really isn't going anywhere. But oftentimes what that person presents to us and what we keep holding on to is the good parts that they show us, or the good parts of the relationship. Good example, the relationship that I was in, it was horrible, but I would come home from work some days and there would be rose petals from the hallway to the bedroom. Like, do you really want to let that go? But that is not the entire relationship, right? So you have to, we all know, we know when, hey, he's not changing or she's not changing. This is who they are. They're just trying to hold on to me. So it goes back to that self-love, self-confidence, and saying, you know what, I choose me. I'm gonna miss those rose petals to the bedroom, but that's not enough to sustain this relationship. And when you can take an honest picture of the relationship itself, you will know if it's worth salvaging or not. I think so.
Mhm. And choosing peace over proving is a sacred muscle we all need to strengthen.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And let me be very honest. Honest, that's a very hard muscle to strengthen at the end of the day. It really is, because we're dealing with feelings and emotions that, they like to take over. So that's a very hard muscle to strengthen.
Hmm. And in your writing and life, you blend soul work with sacred humor. How has humor helped you survive the heaviness of this path?
You have to have humor. I mean, you have to laugh through the hard parts. But I'm also kind of comedic myself. I don't take a lot of things seriously, which actually drives my kids crazy. But I you know I've always been kind of self-aware. So I when I see things, I always see humor in everything, and things probably I shouldn't see humor in. But that's something that's an individual process for people. It's easy for me to see and laugh through things. I laugh at myself. I fall, I laugh. I had a boyfriend, I fell skiing one time, could have hurt myself, but when I was done and I was at the edge of the tree with my skis stuck in the snow, I couldn't stop laughing, and here he was, almost in tears, like, you could have killed yourself. So that's my way of getting through the difficult times. And it was funny to me. I do think it's funny, but everybody has to find their own humor, their own comedic release in each process if they choose.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And is laughter a form of spiritual resilience for you?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I'll tell you this story. When my mom passed, my mom and I were super, super, super close, and people just thought I was gonna probably die right behind her. I did too, but throughout her services, I could hear my mom making fun of people just to keep me laughing to get through it. So that is just in my spiritual walk. I I I always find humor in things. I always hear things whispering to me, like, look at that, and looking at it from a different perspective.
Mm-hmm. And it's powerful to remind ourselves that healing can hold both ache and joy.
Oh, wow. Yes, absolutely. I have gone through a situation, even with my own daughter. She stopped speaking to me for a while, and that's a mom's nightmare, right? But I was I knew, because of the energy that she was bringing to our relationship, that needed to be severed anyway. So healing myself, it costs, me not talking to my daughter for a while, but we now have an understanding as to how we appreciate each other and handle our relationship. But man, you have to go through both. That was fire. That was pure hell for me. But at the same time, I was healing. And I had to grieve that old relationship. But now we're in a space where we can create a new one. But I mean, honestly, how many people are willing to do that deep dive and just go, okay, she doesn't want to talk to me. I can't chase her. I have to let her go through her journey and I have to heal on this front. That's doing both. And that's really a hard situation to do. But I tell you one thing, it was the best decision at the end of the day because now we can recreate a relationship that we both want that, honors how we feel about each other.
That's amazing.
Thank you.
Mhm. And what false narratives do you see women especially struggle with when stepping into their power? And how can they begin rewriting the script?
Oh, the struggle is, again, we have to start with self worth. Why do we get in these relationships in the first place that knock us down? So, when you start stepping into your power, the other side of your brain is going, no, you can't do this. This is where you are. This is who you are. You have to override that system. You have to go, no, I hear you. Acknowledge it. I hear you. I acknowledge what you're saying, but that's not the me I want to be. That is not the me that God has purposed me to be. And you have to do your best to override that system. And what I have done may sound completely nuts, but it really has gotten to a point where it's so natural to stay in the positive when those negative thoughts and those things telling me, you're not that powerful, you're not that strong, you're not even that good. I acknowledge where that comes from. You know what? That was how I felt at the time, or that was the situation. I hear you, but you know what? That's not me now. This is where I'm going, and I'm declaring to my other side, this is what I plan on doing. So it may sound nutty, but I promise you that is how now I don't even hardly get those thoughts anymore. They're very rare, they're very far and few between of me not walking in my power.
Mm-hmm. Right. And is there a belief you had to completely dismantle in order to grow?
Um, well, you know what I did because a lot of the beliefs were put on me as a child, and that happens to a lot of us, depending on who was raising you and if they were decent in your life, you take what they said as gospel, like this is who it is, this is what it is, and this is who I am, only to realize as you're growing and you're maturing and you're branching out that those beliefs may not necessarily line up with who you really are deep down inside. And you really have to, man, I have so much childhood trauma that I've had to dispel. I mean, you wouldn't believe it, but I I refuse to let my past or what people said about me or assumed about me take control of my life. I'm going to live what I know God gave me to live. So I just walk in that truth. And I must tell you, I have been isolated from my family, but that's okay because they're operating on a different frequency than I am, and it is what it is. And maybe one day we'll come together and just like my daughter, we'll find a way to have those relationships. But if not, I am really okay because I know that I will always have some support system with me because I am walking in my truth.
And the lies we outgrow often become the wisdom we teach from.
Hmm. Yes. I tell my kids this all the time. Things happen, but they do happen for a reason. And it's such a cliche, but it is so true if you can wrap your mind around the fact that this is part of your journey. It is a lesson, it is a season. Honestly, I just got out of a very long-term relationship. It was 6 years. I probably was in it 4 years too long. And my friend said to me the other day, she was like, well, now you feel like you wasted that time. I said, no, that was actually a very good relationship when it was good. And I appreciate that. I'm not going to discard that, but it was time to leave. So you have to just know when it's time to walk away and preserve the lesson that was learned, that I learned a lot about myself during those 6 years. I really did, even more. And even though the relationship didn't go where I wanted it to go, I understood that he was part of the journey. And so I think if we can start looking at things and stop saying, oh, this is bad, oh, oh my God, why is this happening to me? Trust me, and sometimes in the middle or even at the end, it may take years. You don't understand why it's happening, but I guarantee you it is for a purpose, and it is definitely for your higher good if you receive it that way.
Mm-hmm. 100%. So, for anyone listening who is just starting their self love journey and feels scared, what would you say to them today?
Give yourself some grace and take your time and don't stop because it's so easy. I'm going to tell you the truth. Yesterday, I woke up and I felt like I just wanted to throw in the towel, forget it all. Like, just wanted to sit on the couch and just really go into myself. So, you will always probably have those moments, but give yourself grace, analyze why you feel that way, and allow that to happen. The problem I think we have a lot of times is we want to just skip through it. Why is this happening? And never mind, forget it. No, allow yourself, give yourself some grace, allow yourself to walk through that and then come out on the other side. But keep going. Don't ever stop. Keep going. There's something pulling you, and that's that something pulling you to something greater. So keep going.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
And how can softness become a form of strength in that journey?
Oh, well, softness is bold and power. It doesn't mean weakness. So if you just understand that concept, I think you'll be fine. Softness does not equal weakness. Softness is power. It really is.
Yes, and power doesn't always roar. Sometimes it's a whisper that says, I choose me.
Hmm. Absolutely. You have to choose yourself. Choose you. Always choose you. Always choose you. Even when the world does not choose you, that's fine. We need haters, right? So always choose you.
Yes. So, Nikki Allen reminds us that self love isn't selfish, it's revolutionary. And when your light disturbs someone else's shadow, it's not your job to shrink. Keep choosing alignment, keep choosing truth, and above all, keep choosing you. This is
Mhm.
sacred harmony, and your healing is not just allowed, it's divine.